frozen. Is it frozen? Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. I think we're good. Try this wireless setup. All right. I'm assuming I can be heard because I'm wearing a wireless mic. Put that there. Goes there. These two. Looks kind of cool. Yes, midnight stream. Can you hear me, Chris? I'm wearing a wireless mic, and it's a midnight stream for you on the East Coast. Yes. Let me know if it's not loud enough. Nice. What's up, Matt? I'm hoping people can hear me. Trying a wireless mic for the first time as I unload some gear. Nice. Thanks, guys. Yeah, it's been a while. It has been a while since I did this. Been busy. I'm going to put this over here. There's that. It's quite a process to go live. So coming off of a shoot in the Bay Area this weekend, finally getting a chance to unpack the gear. Plug this over here. Charge some batteries. Oh yeah, thank you. It looks crooked actually. I don't think my camera's straight, but yeah. I wish I used it more, but it's over there and it's nice. Wow, these are all dead. That's how you know you're shooting a lot, when you have 5 dead batteries. Yeah, this is the, let me put your thing up here. Let me see if I remember how to do this. Yes. So Sennheiser EW100. Probably can't see that. Can I focus on that? Will it focus? No, just like my face. There it goes. So it's a EW100 G3 something or other. SK100. Yeah, I've had these for a couple years. It's super nice. Use these personally, and then I have some at Fresno State as well. Oops, let me focus again. There we go. Yeah, I love them. And I've got it patched in to this thing from Guitar Center, whatever this thing is. Scarlett Solo. So I can run around and unload my camera gear. So. That is empty. Yeah, ultra wide is the LG ultra wide curved monitor 34 WN something. It's a USB-C, which is nice for my MacBook Pro. This will go here. Cleaning stuff. Post to Twitter, see what's going on. Yeah, we'll see what happens. That's that, that's that. Yes, Chris, football season is right around the corner. Just actually got back from a shoot. The last 2 shoots, Super Bowl and then this one I did this weekend for the NFL. I can't talk about till they're out, but fun times. So yeah, got to use the Amira, which was nice. And yeah, I broke the Amira. The Amira was out of commission for about a month. I don't know if you could see this, but I will show you. Maybe it will focus. There it is. That little antenna right there broke off. And when that broke off, that's weird. I just realized that the AC put some Velcro on my battery plate. When that antenna snapped off, that caused the battery plate to lose power once I was running around with it. So I had to send it back to ARRI, and I wasn't looking forward to how much that was going to cost me. Dang it. Well, that's not, sorry, I'm just, now I got Velcro from the AC who put it on my battery plate. Because he had a pretty cool, sorry, I'm out of focus. The AC had a cool D-tap extender. Anyways, you'd plug into one D-tap and it had 4. I don't even know what you call that. It's like a D-tap extension cord. But he left some of his Velcro on my camera. Yes, yeah, I'm just sorry. Yeah. So I've seen a couple different versions. Some that actually have the micro SD cards in them, and they can put them on the pads. In the college ranks, they kind of they can record onto the mic receiver box. And then, of course, when you're in bigger professional productions and you have a sound mixer who's recording to another device, but audio is not my forte. But that's why I save all my audio questions for all my NFL friends, because I don't know what's going on. But yeah, it can get expensive. Yes, this was the mirror that broke, and it broke. Does anybody want to take a guess how much it cost to fix an antenna at ARRI Burbank? I was actually pleasantly surprised. I have insurance on all my equipment. It was an accidental break, meaning it was totally my fault, and reached out to my insurance company, and they need to see the actual cost of what it's going to be. And ARRI was 2 to 3 weeks out, meaning I would send it to them and they wouldn't be able to look at it for 2 to 3 weeks. So I got it to them as soon as I could, and then knew that it would take about a month to get back. And anyway, so my insurance was on standby, and then I was waiting for ARRI to tell me how much this whole thing was going to cost. And $300 to $400. So I thought it was going to be like, I mean, because it was causing a power issue, and so the antenna doesn't look that expensive, but because the camera wouldn't stay powered on battery powered, I was getting worried. And so I was thinking, yeah, $1,200 to $3,000. I mean, to put things in perspective, if something happens to the sensor's $15,000 to replace. So when an antenna goes out that causes power issues, I was really worried. So I was thinking, yeah, $1,200 to $3,000. But you're right, it was $396, 2 hours of labor, and they did a great job down at ARRI Burbank. It just took a while. So yeah, it didn't even meet my insurance deductible, so I just paid for it and didn't have to put in an insurance claim, because that is not that much money when it comes to this camera. So I kind of, yes, it sucks to pay that kind of money, plus I had to ship it back and forth between here and Burbank, but it was a sigh of relief. And then when I got it back, I literally got it back on a Wednesday, and I was leaving on Thursday to go shoot an NFL project. So yeah, I wish I could take it to Richard, but he only works on NFL cameras, not freelance cameras. What they did do though, they upgraded the firmware. Maybe it's just part of their protocol when they work on cameras, but they upgraded to the latest firmware, which is fine, but I don't have, so you have firmware and then you have user profiles. And so we have different user profiles for different clients. And so the NFL has a user profile that we load on here. And when you upgrade the firmware, you need to also have a new user profile. And so I didn't have that. So I actually downgraded the camera back to the original firmware that was on there when I sent it back. And then of course the NFL user profile worked. It's all on this little you can't even see that. It's all on this little USB drive that sits in the camera. So that's where the firmware can live, and that's also where the user profiles live, and you just load them into the camera that way. And because I was doing an NFL shoot, I wanted to make sure I had the NFL user profile so I wouldn't accidentally shoot in the wrong format or any, I wanted everything to be as it normally is when I shoot football stuff. So yes. Yeah, no, I actually reached out to Steve because of the whole firmware and user profile, and because I was coming up on a shoot the next day, I just downgraded to the old firmware and loaded the user profile. So it was smooth sailing, but it could have been pretty bad if I couldn't get the user profile on there in time. I mean, it's not that big a deal. You just have to go in and manually set everything to the way that client likes it. But yeah, so that's how I broke my camera. Snapped off an antenna, which is actually not that hard to do. But I'm glad it's fixed, and now that I'm ready to rock and roll for the season coming in August. Yeah. So the user profile for like, I'll call it a client-based user profile. They send it to me. So I know it's right when the camera automatically defaults to ProRes 422 HD 16:9. That's how I know I'm shooting for the NFL. That's what they want. It also sets my all of my presets on these switches. So it goes 23, 9, 30, and 40 or something. Or anyways, they just have a couple presets, of course, that I switch. They have their ISO settings never go past 2000, and that'll be the max on the switch. You can always go past it, but they don't want you to. So it's kind of just like a base setting for them. Because, I mean, you could easily accidentally put this camera into Super 16 mode or put it into 4K or 3.2K. And it's just so much easier to load that profile. Even if you like totally mess everything up and you're on a shoot one day that's shooting 4K and you're going to shoot a game the next day, just go back into that USB stick into the menu system and load up the user profile, and it all goes back to the way that they like it. And then from there, I usually adjust a couple of the different frame rate settings just the way I like it. Typically, I like it if depending on what I'm shooting, I'll shoot 24 flat, or I'll have a preset for 24 flat, 48 and 60 if I'm just the only slow motion camera on the field. Those will be kind of my three settings. If I'm shooting sync sound, meaning I'm not going to shoot anything off speed, I'm going to set all of those to 23.976. So in case I bump it, it doesn't lose audio, because this camera will only record audio at 23.976. When you go to 24 frames a second, the audio track disappears because that's not true sync. But that's one way we kind of trick the system, even though I would shoot 24 frames flat if I didn't have a sound man with me and I wanted them to be able to edit a head coach wire or mic'd up session with my camera. So it's just kind of like it's a workaround. And then people at NFL Films don't get upset because if you send them a file and it has an audio track and you don't have any audio to accompany that's not good. So that's where the 24 frames by itself comes into play versus 23.976, which automatically creates an audio track. Hope that answers your question. Yes, yep, it's a baseline for them. And when you have that many cameras out every week, you need something like that and something in that large of a scope, you know? So yeah, I'm glad to have it back, and I'm on hold for another shoot this weekend in Reno, so I may be using this again. Let me put it over here. Stay. Put this here. Yeah, I mean, last time I was live, I'd have to look at the channel, but it's been a while. I've been to Disneyland twice now. California has lifted most of its restrictions, which is nice. Looks like we're going to have full capacity stadiums. So essentially, we're catching up to Florida. Trying to do the air conditioning. Banners, brand. Yeah, so I think let me put that up. The NFL Media Originals, I don't know if that's actually NFL Films that produces that. It could be just someone in-house at the league office or someone with NFL Network, because NFL Network, NFL Films, and NFL are all the same company. And so I'm not familiar, nor have I ever worked on something that would be for NFL Media Originals. But I'm going to assume, and this I could be way off, but I'm going to assume there's some type of miniature production team at the league office, or it is NFL Films because they are the production entity for the league, and it's just kind of a smaller production. But I've seen some of those; they're really cool. Well, I mean, you have humidity, Chris. We don't have humidity here, and it was here in Fresno through the weekend, Saturday through yesterday. We were at 110, 112, 109, 108 for those 4 days, but with like zero humidity. So it's a dry heat, as they call it in Arizona, and 96 with the humidity that you guys have in Florida. What's that, like a thunderstorm every 5 minutes? You know, like it hasn't rained in Fresno. I haven't seen rain here probably since March. I have not been, and even then it probably wasn't much. Maybe before that. I mean, it doesn't rain here at all. And so I know you guys get a thunderstorm a day usually if you're down in Miami. So, yeah. I like visiting Miami in February. Or Florida, anywhere in Florida. It's a wintertime thing, right? For us. Nice. Do you live in Los Banos and then commute to San Jose State? Yeah, you guys get rain and humidity. Yeah, I guess that all makes sense. You have humidity, you have rain. Yep, 80s in the winter. Humidity's not as bad as from what I remember as it is in the summer. Actually, Chris, did you ever work with Jim Barry? Or were you an intern when Jim Barry was there? He just came to Fresno, and I got to work with him on a Comcast shoot He had never been to Fresno. So it was good to catch up with him. Nice. Yeah, yeah. Los Banos, I was there. So the other thing that's happened since I've last gone live, and the reason I'm going to bring up Los Banos is because Los Banos has an Electrify America charging station, because we are now the proud owners of a Volkswagen ID4 electric vehicle, which is amazing. It's amazing because the way gas prices are right now, and Volkswagen offers 3 free years of charging at Electrify America, and right next to Target, on the west side of town in Los Banos, is a Electrify America station, which is where I usually, when I went to the Bay Area this weekend, I go there, I top off the charge, I grab either a Habit Burger or Starbucks, which is right there, and jump back in the car, and then go to San Jose. So, big fan of Los Banos. Yeah, Jim and Doug Inarate came out to Fresno. They were both working on a Comcast shoot with someone who was actually here in Fresno, and they gave me a call. I ran a second camera, all handheld. It was like an hour and 20-minute handheld interview. So when you do an hour and 20-minute handheld interview, you use the Ergo rig. And Jim was using an Easy rig. So it's really the only way you can get away with an Amira handheld interview for that long. And we got to use some Cook S4 prime lenses, which are just absolutely beautiful on the Amiras. So I think I was on a 65 and Jim was on a 50. It was beautiful. And I was able to hook them up with a local grip truck, and there's a nice little shoot in this guy's house, and I'm sure that'll come out at some point later for some Comcast something or other. So I've been thinking about like creating like an EV channel, because I'm such like a fanboy now of electric vehicles, and I would say the stress and anxiety would be real too prior to me owning one. And then I started looking at electric vehicles, and I found a YouTube channel called Out of Spec Reviews and Out of Spec Motoring. It's the same guy, but he has multiple channels, and he'll do like Colorado to LA. He'll do New York to LA, all in electric vehicles. So he's done the Volkswagen ID4. He owns a Model 3 Tesla. He does the Mustang Mach 3, or Mach E, sorry. And so the way that I watched him like travel across the country, and just what it's called charger hopping essentially, knowing the charging curve of your car, knowing that like on my Volkswagen from 0% to 50%, it actually can take the highest amount of charge at 125 kilowatts. And then you charge to 50%. And if you're trying to go for like speed and not wait around all day, that's the best way to do it. And then use the Electrify America app or whatever charging station you want to go to, and then plan your route that way. And especially here on the West Coast, the chargers are popping up every day, usually in front of a Walmart or a Target. And it's super fun. Like, I don't know. I'd rather charge my car for free than put gas in it. And it's for 3 years. So I'm going to see how much money I'm actually going to save in 3 years with this car. But I still have a gas guzzler because I have a trailer that I need to tow. But that F-150 Lightning could be a solution in the future. So again, I'm a huge fanboy of all this. Hard Knocks, I haven't heard anything. Again, I was only a part of one season, which would have been 2019? Yeah, 2019 Oakland Raiders. The last season, they were in Oakland, and I wasn't on for the 6 weeks. I was just on for the football games. So I got to shoot 4 football games, Oakland, Seattle, Winnipeg, Canada, somewhere else. Oh, Phoenix. So just, and I'm happy to do that again. I just don't know. They haven't announced any team yet. I'm assuming it's being worked on, and we'll all hear about it on the same time when it does get announced. But if it's on the West Coast, I would just doubt it because they did the Raiders and the Rams back to back and the Chargers in the same year. So I would doubt that it's going to be back on the West Coast. But you never know. If it's on the West Coast, then that gives me greater probability of helping out. Last year with COVID, it was weird because they kept everything kind of together. They kind of created like a mini bubble during the Hard Knocks show, and so someone like me who wanted to come in for a day or two, it just didn't make sense, and so you had to have people who were on for longer than one day. Last Chance U, yeah. I'm starting. What did I start? Episode 1 of the basketball version, which seemed pretty cool. It's just like been pretty busy, so I haven't been able to Netflix a lot, but that's definitely on my watch list is the basketball Last Chance U, which I think came out last year or something. But yeah. Jordan, what's up? This is nothing. Nothing like your office downtown, but we make do out here in Clovis, Yeah, I actually have been meaning, you just released a new video, Jordan. I got to go watch that. And I know you've been super busy too. Is there a new football season, Matt, of Last Chance U? Did I miss that? Because I just saw the basketball one last time I checked. And I think I totally missed, before the basketball one, there was a football one, I think somewhere in the Bay Area. Totally missed that one too. So I need a lot of catching up to do. Oh, there's no new season after basketball. Well, I'm sure they're working on it, right? Again, because of COVID, I'm sure everything's going to have a little nice year gap in all of those, kind of docu-series shows. The fact that they were able to pull off Hard Knocks last year is pretty remarkable. If you've never listened to the Hard Knocks podcast, it's actually pretty cool. So I think it was the last episode, Peter Schrager of NFL Network interviewed Ken Rogers of NFL Films and just spoke about like documenting those two teams in the peak of a global pandemic, being tested multiple times a day, crew as well, creating kind of like a mini bubble, and it's just pretty amazing. It was like 5 episodes of the Hard Knocks podcast. That was also a nice little insight. Now it's bugging me that is not straight. I have a little magic arm here. I think that's better, but then kind of. Rocking the A7 III with a 24 mil. Set to F2. Yeah. My wireless mic so I could like walk around. But yeah. By the way, everything's been on back order. I got this microphone. Where's it at? So everything's so much on back order, as you guys have probably noticed from like B&H and every company. I have a friend in town who rents a lot of my equipment for his job. And at some point, he was going to try and buy some new audio equipment. And he asked if I would just sell him my gear. And then in my head, I was like, okay, well, then I'll buy new gear. Not knowing that everything was back ordered, which is why he was asking me to buy it all. But finally got my replacement Sennheiser. This is the MKE 600, which is about half the price of the 1400, whatever. There's a better version of this. But this one's like 600 bucks. And I got it from Adorama. And I did that because I thought they were in stock and I knew B&H wasn't, but it all worked out where Adorama didn't have it either. So finally got that, but it all came in pieces. Like the windsaw came and the boom pole came. Like I sold it all. I sold my whole like interview microphone kit, thinking that I could just buy a new one really quickly. But luckily I didn't have any projects that needed that kind of audio in the meantime. So yeah, I've been talking electric vehicles. I've been talking how I broke my camera. My wife texting me how my children are freaking out because they didn't go to bed. Now they've calmed down. This is why I do the live stream so late, because usually we got to put the kids to bed and then I can come and drop off all my gear and set up all this stuff for live streaming. So I don't think anybody has any more questions on Instagram. Yes, so I'm just reading an Instagram comment. How do I like see? Yes, it is the perfect getaway. And what's cool, like in this little complex where there's no one else here, even if they were, like I don't hear anybody. Yeah, so I'll do Zoom calls in here. I'll do conference calls. I'll do live streams. I'll try and get some editing done, but then it's just a matter of like shuttling hard drives back and forth. But really, it's like, this is where the gear lives. Like, it's so nice to not have all of this, I'll call it crap, in my house. And the screwdrivers are in the right place and the microphones are in the right spot. Like, I'm still not done like dialing all this in because I'll go on a shoot and then destroy it. Right, Jordan? I think you have the same problem where it's like you can never keep it nice if you're constantly shooting, which is a good thing. But I don't know, it's just nice to, and it's like in between where I work and where I live, and I can go back and forth, and so it's nice. Fresno State football games, how many cameras are shooting the game? Now, if you're talking about for Fresno State athletics, there's typically, on a road game, there'll be one camera, and that'll be a gentleman by the name of Andrew Worth. So he's like the Fresno State athletics creative videographer, and I work with him a lot. When it comes to home games, last year was a little weird because we didn't have any fans, or you couldn't have a whole bunch of people on the field. So there were some other people that were helping out Andrew, but I mean, pretty much one. And then after the end of every game, most of our games are televised, luckily. So then Andrew works with the television production truck and gets what they call a game melt if they give it to him. And that's essentially kind of a clean feed of all the highlights of the game from multiple camera angles. So you might have a touchdown catch from the end zone camera, but you also get it from the handheld, and you also get it from the press box. And then maybe if they had a steady cam or something, it's a melt of all of those key plays, and they hand those, you give them a hard drive and they put them all on the hard drive for you. And then he can edit a highlight package that night with his footage and then the game melt. But yeah, there's not a whole lot. We're not a big Power 5 school, so they make do with what they can. And then I try and help out when I can. Again, I don't work on the athletic side of things. I work more on the university side, but I help out when I can. Football is extremely tough because I'm usually traveling to shoot NFL games. But last year I was able to shoot in Vegas when Fresno State played UNLV. And then so Andrew was there running around, and then I just picked a spot in the low end zone and shot. That's where I got to shoot my Amira with my 400 millimeter prime lens and just had a blast. I love that. I love that lens. And seeing that the way he was able to edit my camera and his camera, and of course we won, so it was great. But yeah, typically it's just one camera for most Fresno State athletic events. So yeah. Random thought, when it comes to you filming sports, it's always easy following the ball and action, but any tips? Locked off camera shots. I locked off camera shots. So I've talked about, hopefully you can hear me. I've talked about my hi-hat in some other videos. So I've got the hi-hat right there with my FS7 II on there. So I bring that on occasion, but I also love this little guy. So, well, I'll call them postcards, and that's what most people call them, is a postcard shot. So I'll go on kind of a wider lens or the wide end of my lens and put this right on the grass or the turf and watch the play unfold. It's a good, I don't know, safety shot. It's good for editing to have just kind of a wide angle, low angle shot throughout the game. I love this during pregame when fans are like entering the stadium. I'm not, if it needs to be steady, I'm usually going to go here. The way that you can kind of cheat a steady camera handheld is to crank up the frames per second. So something that's shot at 120 frames per second is easier to find those smooth moments as opposed to shooting everything at 24p and just trying to keep it steady. So this little guy is called a steady bag, and it actually used to stay steady bag, but I've used it so much it's worn off. I love this thing. It's literally just a bag of sand. And all you do is search for steady bag. And it's a great addition to anybody who shoots sports. If you're primarily, especially if you're shooting a lot by yourself and you need to get different angles, that's just one way to capture a scene setter, a postcard, fans entering. I love a steady bag, so that's kind of how I do it. But yeah, following football is typically going to be handheld. Now there are a couple people in the NFL that shoot off of a hi-hat the whole game, and they're going to have a massive lens, which you can't hand hold. So the hi-hat is actually a necessity, and they have someone who can help carry that tripod head and hi-hat up and down the field with them, and you'll see that on occasion, but there's only 2 guys that shoot every play off a hi-hat. Yeah. See, I'm still, this is a pretty, I think your place is probably bigger than mine, but I don't have as much stuff. But yeah. What's nice about this desk that I'm actually using is that I can push this around, which is kind of cool. I think we have the same desk, Jordan. It's the Husky thing from Home Depot. And so I push that kind of over here and move everything out because I like to come through the door, push my cart, and then just start unloading. But yeah, you're sneezing, it's all over the place. So mainly it's the regular season start. If I get lucky, because I do have a full-time job, I can't take too many extra assignments, but training camps are usually like they'll do probably a coach. I think every coach is mic'd up during training camp in the summer, so usually they'll try and get someone like me to do the 49ers head coach during a training camp session. And I've been called for that. I've had to turn them down. This was a couple years ago, and they've never called back for that. I was speaking earlier about Hard Knocks, which is, of course, an HBO show that NFL Films does. That is full 6 weeks production, and I did that for the Oakland Raiders, but I came in just to shoot the preseason games, which was awesome because it was just a couple days here and there. It was not a full 6 weeks. So I shoot training camps if they ask and if I can, yes. But yeah, I look at the calendar and you look for Labor Day, and it's always the weekend after Labor Day that everything gets rolling again. Yes, steady bag, cheap, easy. There's also like Cine saddles, which are a little bit more expensive and a little bit more beefier. But yeah, the steady bag is nice because it literally sits in my cart which is another item I'll show you about. So this is my tripod bag, and then and this connects to my cart, which you probably can't see, but there's a handle here, and then this slides over the handle, and I put my tripod in here when I'm like driving to games, and then I just put this in there, and it always just lives at the bottom. And so I'm always prepared to get a low angle, steady shot. And I also use that with trying to remember the name of this company. But this is it's similar to a Dana dolly, but it's a much cheaper solution. And so I have rails and things like that. And so instead of trying to mount like a tripod head to this 3/4 inch screw, I just put the steady bag on it and roll it across these dolly tracks that I have. Super easy, super simple. Stole this idea from Hard Knocks. So Ben Johnson is the DP for Hard Knocks, and he has been for the past 2 or 3 years. And we were shooting at Derek Carr's house for the Raiders Hard Knocks. And he's like, I need some exteriors. I was like, cool. He's like, I got a little slider and a steady bag and the Amira, and I was able to just go in front of the house. And you'll see it if you ever watch that. Episode 1 again, it's the exterior shot of Derek Carr's house. It was shot with this little guy here and a steady bag and an Amira on like a 14 mil lens. We were shooting on Cooks, like a Cook S4 14 mil or 12 mil. I forget. Those are such beautiful lenses. Yeah, the Husky desk that can change height by cranking it up and down. I actually got this one at a discount because the little handle was broken and still is. I think they gave me 20% off. So, and it was already built in Home Depot. I just had to put it in my car. So that was a good purchase. Matt, was this, I don't know if this was you. I see the question here, and I think I already answered it. Are you DJ Mateo M98 on Instagram? If so, I'm trying to see if it's the same thing, because someone asked the same question about locked off versus handheld, and I bet it's you. There's no easy way to go to your profile from Instagram. Yeah, that's you. Cool. So yes, I answered your question. Steady bag. San Jose State in the house with RJ and Matt. Family reunion. RJ, you just graduated, right? You're now an alum. Are you continuing to work with San Jose State Athletics, or is that over? The reigning Mountain West champions, San Jose State Spartans, which just sounds weird to say as a Fresno State employee and Fresno State fan. And we didn't even get to play you guys last year. I think there was a COVID outbreak on our team or something. So this year, I think we're playing you, and should be a good one. See, I think we're stacked because our seniors are coming back for another year, but everybody's seniors are coming back for another year. So I think there's going to be some good football, college football this year. All right, Jordan. I'll check out your video soon. Thanks for stopping by. Nice. The Thanksgiving game. That's horrible. But it's in Fresno, I think, right? So it's not that horrible, for me at least, if I was around. So. See, now you're assuming I was watching the Clipper game, and I wasn't. So by reading this comment, that tells me that the Clippers lost again. Or no, it was just last night. It's in San Jose. Yeah, that'll be tough. I do have Oregon circled on my calendar. So we play University of Oregon on September 4th, which I believe is right before Labor Day in Eugene. And so that might be a fun one to go to. Twitter. Yeah, maybe we'll all hang out on Thanksgiving, huh? The old USC game. That's actually cool. I mean, I'm assuming it's at the Coliseum because they never would travel to you or I with our capacities, but that we played them 2018. No, 2018, 19. Anyways, so close to beating them. New video board. I did not know that. I mean, it seems like every year they get a new locker room and everything's just, so amazing up there. Last time I was in Eugene, I was there as a fan in 2005 when Fresno State played Oregon. We lost, unfortunately. Same year we lost to USC, who was the number one team in the country, but we gave them a good fight. That was the last time I was in Eugene. So my sister just moved to Portland, so maybe I could swing a trip to Portland and come down to Eugene for the Fresno State game. We will see, because the NFL season will not have started by then. So. Wow, now I'm going to have to Google it. The nation's largest video board. Oh no. But college? Because I've been to where the Cowboys play, Cowboy Stadium or AT&T Stadium. Is it bigger than that? I don't want to mention that, but yes, it was. Anytime they show highlights of Reggie Bush at USC, he does that little skirt along the sidelines and he stops, and then the Fresno State defender passes by and then he keeps going for a touch. Yeah. I was also at that game as a fan, and it was great and it was horrible. Yeah. Reggie Bush was such a talent. Okay. Largest video board in the nation for college. Yeah. Because AT&T Stadium. I mean, even Atlanta's new one was there for Super Bowl 53. And then it's like this, it never ends. It's just this circle oval thing that's up and every stadium kind of outdoes themselves each time they build a new one. And I'm excited that, fans are coming back, of course. We missed them. And the Las Vegas Raiders, it's just going to be insane. It's going to be insane once those fans get in there. As someone who shot the very first Las Vegas Raider game with no fans in attendance, it was sad. But they were outside. They were in the hotels. They were cheering from the parking lot. And I think it's another Monday night opener, just like it was last year. But now with fans, it's going to be insane in Las Vegas. Yeah, so I haven't seen it either, but very similar to Atlanta. where it's like that Oculus thing. So Atlanta, yeah, you only see the inside of the oval thing. In SoFi, you see the outside. And apparently at SoFi, you walk in, you come out of the parking lot, from the parking lot into the stadium, and you're in the upper deck. So you have to go down to the field, as opposed to most NFL stadiums, you walk from the parking lot into the stadium, you're at field level, you got to go up. Because I guess if it's proximity to LAX airport, they had to bury it. So again, I haven't been there yet, but the Super Bowl is there this year. So hopefully I'll be able to be there for that and see it at that point, if not during the regular season. Again, another stadium that has had 0 fans, so they're going to be rocking too for Chargers and Rams. Jeez. Yeah. I can't imagine. Like, I know just for our small video board at Fresno State, it's got a weird dimension, and it always throws me off that, because you're just so used to 16 by 9, 16 by 9, and then something comes out that's like this, you're having to like adjust. Okay, what am I going to see? What am I not going to see? And yeah. This is true. So the Las Vegas Bowl is over for Mountain West, and then it goes to the LA Bowl. Is that what they're calling it? At SoFi Stadium. I think that's cool. And then the Las Vegas Bowl switched to like SEC versus Pac-12 at Allegiant Stadium, which is going to be huge. The one thing, maybe I've talked about this before, the one thing I remember shooting a UNLV game versus shooting a Raider game, which happens at the same stadium, is that the UNLV team does not get to play on the grass. Just like Phoenix, the grass in Las Vegas grows outside, and then it comes back in for game day. Unless you're UNLV, then the grass stays outside, and they roll out AstroTurf, and you play on the AstroTurf. So I'd be curious what that big bowl game gets, if they get the UNLV AstroTurf, or if they get the Oakland Raiders beautiful grass. So I saw this. Is that true that it's the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl, or did he just totally, was it a joke? Because I think it's a joke, but I could be wrong. I saw that though. That's funny. Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl. Wow. True. It's true. You heard it here first, folks. That's crazy. I guess, yeah. I mean, there are some pretty crazy bowl game names. So, Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl. I mean, what are you going to do? Yeah, I already answered that one. Makes sense. ABC's broadcasting it. Jimmy Kimmel's the flagship late night show on ABC. We'll call it the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl. What's crazy, so similar kind of thing. I don't even know how this worked, but where we play basketball at Fresno State, it's called the Save Mart Center. The Save Mart is a local grocery store in the valley, and the weird story is that Pepsi actually paid for the naming rights of the building, which also gave them exclusive rights to have Pepsi in perpetuity at every game or concert or whatever happens at the venue. But Pepsi didn't want to actually name it. They paid for the naming rights so they could get the Pepsi in there, but then Save Mart was able to actually name the building, I think at a much cheaper rate. So all that is so weird, naming things. Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, I'm not going to say it, but Allegiant is not the world's best airline. But to me, that stadium is like a top tier stadium. To me, you have some, And maybe that's what Allegiant's doing. They're literally taking the branding and trying to elevate it by putting it onto an NFL franchise stadium. Sure. It's all weird. So is the San Jose State football stadium done with renovations? I haven't been following it along too closely. Last that I saw, maybe it was one of RJ's video, that there was like a drone shot, and it's like, do you only sit on half of the stadium, or is that just part of the renovation? I'm totally lost with Spartan Stadium. Gotcha, which is probably why I just saw half of it with the empty side. Okay, so they're still working on it. At least you guys have got progress. We are over here with a stadium built in 1981 and it hasn't had too many improvements since 1981. But, you know, this is the problem, right? We're both CSU schools. I think our stadium was paid for by the state of California. I'm sure the original Spartan Stadium might have also been paid for by the state of California. But these renovations are typically donor funded. And yeah. So it's always been one side of the stadium. Maybe I'm just not even remembering. Last time I went to Spartan Stadium was the Silicon Valley Classic in 2002. I think Fresno State played UCLA or something. So this is how it's always been. It's just been one side. Grass Hill. Interesting. If I could do this. I'll mute that. I found this file. Every so often I go out like at sunrise to my cousin's, some of my cousin's vineyards out here in Fresno and the surrounding areas and document the process of grapes and how grapes grow. So that's been super fun just to be able to hang out with my cousin and see what he does every day and watch these grapes literally go from that to what you see in the stores. And so, yeah. Gotcha. Okay, so there were benches on that side. Cool. So yes, a little bit. The beautiful part about hanging out with farmers is that they get up so early, and so it's literally, it's golden hour in the morning, and so it's a Mira mixed with that's a DJI Phantom 4. That's actually closer to sunset because the first time I shot was sunset when he first wanted me to go out there, and then every other shot after these shots is sunrise. Yes. And so what you saw on my Instagram story was actually something different for Fresno State. So I hired my friend Brent out of Phoenix, who has the whole car mount Ronin 2 setup. And we did something similar, but we did it a full day at Fresno State, campus shots, stadium shots, farm shots, because we have a 1,000-acre farm, and we ran around and had that FS7 II with a 20-120 lens mounted to the front of that van. And yeah, I'm still need to go through all that footage, but essentially we banked it all. So we're essentially, we'd have, there's only so much drone footage you can use of a campus, and I think I've used every drone shot I've ever captured for that campus. So having another way to showcase buildings, especially buildings that donors have donated to and names on buildings. It's one thing to go out with a tripod and shoot a name on a building, but it's another thing to like drive by it at 60 frames a second and kind of get this cool parallax. So we were doing that all day at Fresno State. That's what you saw. This is all handheld and drone and some tripod, but that's the beauty of shooting in a mirror at 200 frames a second, is that it looks like it's a steady cam shot, but it's just 200 frames a second walking behind him at sunrise. So FPV, I have not gotten into it. I like what DJI did, and they made it accessible to someone like me who's not into like building FPV drones and like soldering and all that stuff, and you know, taking apart a GoPro and making it an FPV camera. So I like their new FPV stuff. I'd rather get an Air 2S right now than an FPV. So I have a Phantom 4 Pro, and then I have a Mavic Air, like an original one. And then at Fresno State, we just picked up a DJI Mini, which is amazing because it's under 0.55 pounds. And so it's super light. It has 4K 30, a sensor that can shoot 4K 30. And yeah, that one was fun. Yes, this is one reason why I didn't remove that. This is why I never got into FPVs in the first place, because it just seemed like you just needed to know so much about like how to build a drone, and I'm more about like buying the drone and flying the drone, and I like having a GPS system on board my drone so I can just let go and it floats. And it seems like every FPV drone before this DJI one, it's like it's all you, which is kind of how I thought drones were going to be when I first got into DJI drones. But then I realized like, wait, anybody could fly these things because of the way that you fly them and you let go and they just hover, and then you move them and then they hover. I like that. The FPV stuff kind of scares me. Even though they're so light, I just feel like I'd crash it too much. I'd hit something. I'll wait for more products like the DJI FPV because it has some of those kind of settings built in. You can go full manual, which I like, but for someone like me who's not used to that, it gives you that kind of stepping stone. So maybe that's in the future, but that Air 2S looks really cool. And even this DJI Mini that we got, just being able to crop in on the sensor to have a 2x extender essentially on your lens. I was flying around during our graduation ceremony, and it's like, this is cool. I mean, again, we're just putting everything on YouTube, so you're not really projecting it in 4K. Like, it's a good image. It's a good image for a drone that is like that big. And I know the Air 2S, looking at all the reviews, is that plus so much more because it has the 1-inch sensor. And so, yeah. Let me see if I go here, YouTube. Yeah, well, that's an ad. See if I can share. Man, I'm a big fan of this DJI Mini. It's 490 something bucks. It's for the Fly More package. It's like 500 bucks. It's super cheap, and it comes in less than the FAA requirement before you need to register your drone. Again, it gets kind of muddy when you're using it for commercial purposes because at that point you still need a Part 107 to fly it. But for someone who's looking to just fly drones and maybe get a couple shots around a stadium, the DJI Mini for $500 is amazing because it's super small, super lightweight. If it crashes, it's not going to hurt anybody or hit anything. Yes, and then from there, I would step up to some of these like 1-inch sensor cameras. I have the DJI Phantom 4 Pro 1, which is a 1-inch sensor, but this new Mavic Air 2S, that seems to be like their new flagship. And of course, wait a month and then DJI will come out with another one. But I would start out and even go to lensrental.com. You can go to lensrental.com and rent a DJI Mini for a weekend and try it out. It's a super cool, super smart, super small, intuitive drone for not that much money. So I'm a huge fan of the Mini. Yeah, no thanks. That is not me. I will take a drone and go up there. I'm not, there's no need. There's no need. I was up in the top of the press box with all the pigeons for graduation. That was about as high as I needed to go. Put a GoPro up there, and that's about as high as I need to go. Cool. 10:30, guys. I'm going to probably call it quits for tonight, but thanks for the 5 or 6 of you that stuck around and chatted with me. Again, hit me up on Instagram or Twitter or whatever you want. Any questions? The summer, you know, I'm staying pretty busy, but once football season starts, then I get a lot busier. So, yeah, hit me up with any questions, and we'll do this again. Hopefully I'll do this more frequently, but for right now, I do it when I can once the kids are asleep. So I will talk to you guys later. For everybody at San Jose State, go Dogs. And I'm sure I'll talk to you before Thanksgiving. See you guys.